Time for another NFL breakdown as we preview week number 4 of the NFL season. Rob Wong with you, joined as always by John Kryk, national NFL columnist for Postmedia. And John, we got to begin with the Buffalo Bills, who last week had a devastating defeat at the hands of the Miami Dolphins. This week, they head out to Baltimore, 3.5-point road favorites, according to Las Vegas, but they are banged up right now, up and down the lineup. What do you think about their chances as they take on the Ravens?
Yeah, they are. They got banged up. Something like 10 or more players fell in that awful heat, which was, 40 something Celsius apparently on the field down in Miami. They outgained the Dolphins more than 2-1, nearly 500 yards to 200 and something. There are a lot of asterisks to that win to Miami or for the loss for Buffalo. Can they bounce back? Well, sure. What's interesting is a lot of these top games this week have the NFL best or worst in something. In this one, you've got Baltimore, highest scoring offense in the league, 33 points a game. Buffalo, third, just a couple spots below, 30.3. So you'd think it's going to be a scoring derby, right? But Buffalo still has the number one defense in the league, as they had through most of last season, in stopping yardage. And Baltimore's is the very worst in the league. They are the only team in the league that has given up 1,000 yards plus passing. Josh Allen, the Bills quarterback, is the only one in the league that has 1,000 plus passing himself. So there's a big advantage in that game for Buffalo. Their defense is much better than Baltimore's. And even though the game is in Baltimore, I think you got to give the edge to the Bills.
Yeah, great opportunity here for a bounce back for sure. Taking a look at another battle of some young quarterbacks, you've got Trevor Lawrence of the Jacksonville Jaguars heading out to Philadelphia to face off against Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. The betting line has the Eagles as the 6.5-point favorite here. I mean, Hurts has been impressing all season long so far, but could there be some magic here for Jacksonville on the road? Do you think they can cover in this matchup?
Good chance. I mean, look what they've done the last 2 weeks. They not only beat the Colts, they not only beat the Chargers in LA, they outscored those two teams 62-10. I mean, blew them right out and those other teams couldn't run at all against that Jaguars defense. And we're talking about an Eagles team that last year led the NFL in rushing, and this year overall has been one of the most potent offenses, scoring wise, everything wise. This Philadelphia team, if you were to just stop the season right now, pretend it's the English Premier League in soccer and just go, okay, who's number one right now? They're one of only two undefeated teams, and overall, both sides of the ball, they've been the most complete team. Their level of competition maybe has not been very great. They beat Washington, they beat Detroit in Detroit when Detroit had a lousy opener. So maybe there's an asterisk there for the Eagles. Maybe we need to see a little more, but Jalen Hurts, quarterback, I'm convinced now. I wasn't. Even to start this season, I just thought this is a guy who can run pretty well, but can he throw it? He has been throwing it at an elite level so far through 3 games. But to answer your initial question, with the Jaguars playing so well and Trevor Lawrence, 77% completions, 5 touchdowns against no interceptions, and no sacks these last 2 weeks. I mean, he's playing at a great level with Doug Peterson, the former Eagles coach, right? Who's his head coach now and the quarterback guru who's proving it. Give the Jaguars a good consideration to cover.
All right, wrapping up our week 4 preview here. It's a battle of some really intriguing quarterbacks. Of course, Patrick Mahomes, we know what he is all about. His Kansas City Chiefs head into Tampa Bay to take on Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Kansas City, a 1.5-point road favorite. It's been a tough start to the season for Tom Brady. What do you think's going on there with the offense, John?
There's a couple of things. Obviously the wide receivers. They played the last game entirely and most of the fourth quarter before that in New Orleans, Tampa Bay did, without their top 3 wide receivers. You take away any team's top 3 wide receivers, and let's see how well they score. It's going to be tough, even when you have Tom Brady, right? And they quite nearly tied it up there at the end if Brady hadn't screwed up on the time clock. But I think one of the big issues that I see missing out of this Tampa Bay offense that we had seen the last 2 seasons is that they've pretty much just got Leonard Fournette now as their running game. And yes, he can do a lot with the ball. He's more agile and maybe more speedy than you think for such a big man. I think they're missing the Ronald Jones effect, Rojo, who was their kind of their scat back, hard hitting, bursty guy up the middle that Brady, when he put him in there, made defenses, I think, have to account for a quick hitter inside that might be dangerous, might gain 5, 10, 15 yards at a crack when they get going. And they don't seem to have that this year. So it's either Fournette kind of lugging it up the field for 3 or 4 or 5, or it's the pass game. And I think that's limiting them a little bit. So Kansas City presumably is going to bounce back from that effort at Indianapolis when they couldn't run the ball at all either. I got to think that they're a worthy favorite, and I'd strongly consider taking them if you're going against the points.
Should be a fun game for sure down in Tampa Bay. That'll do it for another NFL breakdown. As always, you can get John's full picks at his Kryk Slants newsletter at Postmedia, and you can find him on Twitter at John Kryk.